Now today I'm in the spa town of Ilkley, a bonny spot with some big grand old buildings. Once upon a time those buildings would have been home to individual families. In this day and age they've been broken up into smaller apartments, and today I'm going to see a client who's got a tiny little bijou garden out the back of theirs. The thinking is we might be able to put some climbers up to soften the area, and as you can see the leaves are on the turn, it's autumn, and that's the perfect time to get in and get those climbers planted. Well, here we are. This is the space we've got to work with. It's quite cute, isn't it? Some nice tall walls around us. They're going to be good for probably storing a bit of heat and keeping this warm in winter. A bit of a microclimate, you might say. I think south's that way, so we're going to get some nice sort of, probably mid-afternoon sun on this wall. And then this back wall, it's going to get sun probably from late morning all the way till the sun sets. Especially in summer. So this is going to be the feature wall. I think we'll get something nice on here. We're 2 floors up, so there's no earth below my feet, just a void below. So there's no digging down and planting. We're going to have to go with containers, I think. We've probably managed 3 containers along this wall, and then 1 container there for a nice feature climber. The lady of the house, she says she quite likes clematis, so I'm thinking we could possibly go with 3 clematis along this wall, maybe a dark one in the middle, and then contrasting maybe paler pink ones either side. That would work. And then we just need to put some wires on the wall to encourage those climbers to climb up, and all of a sudden it'll become a bit of an oasis, and certainly in a few years' time it'll be a really nice, cute little environment to sit out in on a sunny day. What's handy is the client has actually already got this raised trough, and what's really clever about this trough is it's actually got a built-in reservoir. You can fill it with water, and using a capillary matting system it actually irrigates the compost for weeks and you don't have to worry about it. And that's great for saving water, which we all need to think about in this day and age. My client has grown quite a nice display of annual bedding plants in here, and they're going to keep doing that over the summer. And we've got a couple of hangings for hanging baskets up there, so this wall is nothing to worry about. This little raised trough is going to do the job perfectly. Right, so here we are. We've got some nice contemporary pots. We've got 4 matching ones, and then we've got some clematis. This one is a nice deep purple. It's called Warsaw Nike, or I'm guessing it's probably called Warsaw Nikkei, because Nike's a brand of trainer. I'm sure they wouldn't name a plant after a trainer. But looking at it, it's got lovely velvety purple flowers, and that's going to start flowering in May, and it'll flower through to September, so it's going to put a really nice show on this wall. I've also got a couple of paler pink clematis to match it, 1 to go either side, so I think we just need to get everything potted up, position things and see how they look, and take it from there. Right, so we're just going to pot up this clematis, and the first thing we need to do when we're potting any plant up in a container is just put a little bit of drainage in the bottom. Now what I've got here are some broken bits of terracotta pot. You should never throw away a broken terracotta pot, because it'll come in handy in the future months, future years even, to make some good crocks to go in the bottom of pots. So all I do is just get a handful, maybe half a dozen bits, and just pop them in the bottom of the pot, just around the drainage hole that's in the bottom of the pot there. And then the next thing you need to do is get a couple of good handfuls of planting gravel, pea gravel, really just any gravel you can get hold of that's not too chunky, and just pop that around your crocks. And what that's going to do is it's going to make sure that the roots of the plant aren't going to get down into that bottom area and into the drainage hole and clog it up. It's going to allow water to drain out even as the plant matures. I'll just put 1 more in. There we go, so that should do that job perfectly. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop the clematis in its pot, because all I'm doing really is just gauging how far down the pot it's going to be. I'll sit it in like that, and it's probably about 10 centimetres from the top of the pot. Now that's a bit too deep, so I need to sit it up on a bit of compost. So that's the first thing I'm going to do, is just put about 10 centimetres of compost in the bottom. Now the stuff we're using here is John Innes number 3, and it's a loam-based compost, so that means it's actually got some good heavy soil in it, and it's perfect for mature plants. It's not going to be like compost, which is pretty high in nutrients, and nutrients that make things grow quite vigorously. it'd just put your clematis on steroids and it'd go absolutely mad and go out of control. Whereas this stuff, being perfect for mature plants, it's just going to feed the clematis as it needs it. It's going to support its growth. It's going to make sure it doesn't put on any sort of weak growth, especially as winter approaches, because that weak growth is just going to get destroyed by frosts. Right, so I've got about 10 centimetres of compost in the bottom. I'll just have another check. Yeah, that's perfect. Right, so that's just sat about 3 centimetres below the top of the pot, which is just going to be the perfect little void to fill with water when you water it without the water spewing over the sides. Right, so I'm going to plant this now, and when I plant it, I need to find its best face, really, best foot forward, and I would say that's probably it. It looks really nice from that angle. And then I need to move it to the back of the pot, so that bit is just tight against the wall really, and the plant's not trying to find its way to the wires that we're going to put up for it to climb on. So that's perfect position. Need to get it out of its pot now. This can be a bit tricky at times. I always find it good to give the pot a good squeeze and then just gently get hold of these. It should pop out all in one go. There we go. And you can see that plant's got quite a nice root system, but it's not pot bound as they say, i.e. there's too much root and it's a bit hungry. So it's a good quality plant, that. Right, so here we go, just pop it in. Face forward, looking good. And now I just need to fill around that with some more compost. Feels good, this John and his compost, and you can feel the gritty, loamy soil in it. Right, so compost's just nicely up to the level of the bottom of the plant stems. You don't want to go over the top of the base of the stems there, because the moisture that is retained in the compost will just get into the bark on those stems and it'll just rot it, and that'll kill your plant. So I'm just firming it down, but not going too mad with that, because I don't want to create any compaction on top of the pot. And that'll be great for when it rains. You won't have to worry about watering then, because when it rains it'll get in and it'll soak down nicely. Right, I'm just going to put this in position and then I'll crack on and plant the other 3 climbers. I think it just needs to go about there. Right, so everything's potted up now. I've got my 3 clematis in position, and then on this back wall I'm going to go with a star jasmine. Now this is, for me, one of the finest climbers you can get, but it's actually a little bit tender. It can cope with British weather, but if I were to plant this, say for example, out at my place in the Yorkshire Dales, if we had a hard winter, it'd be a goner. It wouldn't like it. The frost would get in and it would kill it. But here, this is a different ball game altogether. We're in this little microclimate and we've got this south facing stone wall. So what's going to happen here is, even on a winter's day when the sun's out, the heat of the sun is going to absorb into this wall, and the heat can stay in there for days. It's like a storage heater, and what that's going to do is keep this little area much warmer than out in the Yorkshire Dales, and therefore this star jasmine will be fine. So I've got that in position now. It'll climb up some wires which we're going to put on the wall very shortly, and in summer it's going to flower, and it has tiny little star-shaped flowers and they smell amazing. So this really is going to be the showpiece of this little patio. And a nice way to finish things off, I think, is to put a little bit of decorative gravel on the surface of the pot there. Now what this does is it makes things look a little bit prettier, as you will see, by spreading that out, a nice contrast of colours against the pot. But it also acts as a mulch. So in the hot extremes of our British summertime, we all know about those, don't we? This is going to keep the moisture within the compost. It's going to retain moisture in the pot. You won't need to water it as often. And again, that's absolutely great for saving water, which is something we all need to work towards in this day and age. So there we go. That's it. Climbers potted up and positioned so they can soften the wall. We'll be putting some wires on the wall. If you'd like to see how we put wires on the wall to support the climbers, then we will be making a video and you can watch that on lovegardening.com. If you've enjoyed what we've done here, if you would like any tips or advice, or if you've got an idea for a project in your garden, perhaps we could come along and help you. Please get in touch with our media team at lovegardening.com.